Cotney Attorneys and Consultants is dedicated to helping the construction industry with legal, business, and safety challenges. Welcome to this week's episode of Law and Mortar with John Kenny and Trent Cotney.
Hey, this is Trent Cotney, CEO of Cotney Attorneys and Consultants, and I'd like to welcome everyone again to another episode of Law and Mortar. As always, we have John Kenny. John, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you again. Glad to be here. Hope everyone's having a great end of the week out there.
Yep, been a very busy week. A lot of stuff has happened this week. One of the things that I really enjoyed that you did this week was your presentation for RT3, the Roofing Technology Think Tank. And for those of you that are not aware of what that is, it is a group that is dedicated to looking at the technology that is part of our industry and figuring out, how do we better implement that? How do we, encompass more elements of that so that we're at the forefront of the technology rather than, waiting for an outside disruptor to do something. So, John, what were your thoughts on the presentation, and how do you think it went?
No, I thought it went really well. Very receptive audience. They were very participating into the whole presentation. A lot of good questions. I've received a lot of messages afterwards asking some further questions on things. So again, it's a great group, always trying to stay ahead of what's going on in the industry, technology-wise, not just technology, but developments that technology brings into our industry. So, and I think we fit in really well with our presentation, covering the solutions that we here are working on with technology smart sheets and our different things, and our estimating training. We got to talk about that. That was a big hit for sure. I've had a dozen inquiries alone out of just that one call. So that one presentation on yesterday. So that was pretty darn good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it just as a bystander. But one of the things I think I should also mention is that we got a big webinar coming up this week.
Yeah, a real good one.
Yeah, we got a ton of people signed up. I haven't looked at the latest numbers, but a few days ago we were over 100 already. So it is on expert tips for contract negotiation. And just to kind of set the stage of what this is going to be, I'm letting out all the stops on this one. There's no holding back. This is every trick of the trade that you can use to get ahead in contract negotiations. And John, what I'm really excited about is that we've got our own Lee Lipniscus moderating this for us, and she's done a great job in the past. So, I really think she's going to be be able to handle us and ask a lot of great questions.
Sometimes we're a lot to handle.
So I want to kind of turn now to something that you and I are both very passionate about, and that is craftsmanship. One of the things that I've always really enjoyed about roofing was the specialty aspects of it. The copper work and the slate work and the other stuff that you don't see as often. It's not a commodity, And I know that you've been very instrumental, obviously, with our work with the International Federation for Roofing Trades. It's really given us access to a whole different way of thinking, and it's very refreshing. Our friends over there, Pascal and Graham and everyone else, it's been a great opportunity for us to see that side of it. So, what do you think the difference is between sort of the U.S. mindset of roofing and kind of what we are seeing over in Europe and other places?
Well, that's a great question. And I think it goes back to, first of all, you got to be honest with yourself if you're in the industry. I've been in this, like I said, third generation. So my father roofed, my grandfather roofed, and probably his grandfather before him roofed, which we just don't know. But what I mean by that is I think here in the U.S., we've gotten more into, we got to get the job done. We've got away from, and again, it's not so much, I want to clarify that. It's not that we don't have craftsmen or don't believe in it. Our building style and our open warehousing and the large facilities that are built in the wide areas that we have across the country have led to us being more production-based roofing society than we are probably difficult craftsman factor. That's the best. I don't want to say quality, because you can have quality no matter what type of roof. We're over in Europe, land is land. There's, that's been a continent that's been inhabited for a lot longer than our continent, for sure. So I think the spaces are different. You see a lot more, even in commercial, you see a lot of steep slope roofing over there, and the materials are old world type, with slate and metal craftsmanship in those. So I think that's the biggest difference. And also too, they still in the European nations have really deep rooted apprenticeship type programs. It is a passed down generational type trade, that you don't see that as much. At least I don't see that as much here in the US. I'm not saying you don't have a pass down, but we don't have any kind of national apprentice program. We don't have those things where you go to school to learn how to put the slate on and all of that stuff. I'm not saying there's not training out there, but nothing like that. So in a nutshell, not hurting anyone's feelings in the industry, because I've been in a long time too. I think that is really the biggest difference.
Yeah, I agree. I look, there's plenty of contractors that we work with that are absolute artists at what they do, right?
Absolutely.
Just because it is a TPO roof or a shingle roof, there may be an artistic element to it based on the type of build that you got to do, right? It's not to say that it can't be that, but it's very refreshing, I guess, to talk to so many people that are really trying to keep the old way of doing things, and not just slate, not just copper. I've told you how much I like zinc roofing, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So, there's a lot of really, really interesting things there. And obviously we're both, into history and roofing history in particular. When you look back at that kind of stuff, that's the origins. That's where a lot of the stuff came from, thatch roofing, some of the other stuff that's out there. So definitely something that I think is worth preserving and worth continuing. I think there will always be a need for a specialty type roof system like that, where you really want to add that extra touch to how the outside
Sure.
looks.
Well, another example to jump on it, Trent, and I mean, before we go to the next thing, England, Great Britain area, for the huge in lead roofing. Lead is still a huge, large roofing aspect over there. Restoration, soldering of it. You're not going to find that here, right? You may have, and if anybody's listening, if that's your specialty, that's great. But I mean, you're like such a small little piece of the overall industry. We're over there, it's fairly large. It's large enough to be, part of their economy. So those are the things that are different. And I agree with you there 100%. And you're right, we represent such a wide variety here. And we do have those specialty slate people that we know, and specialty metal. They're here. It's just a different culture. That's really about where I can put it.
Yeah. I love, going to social media and looking at Instagram or Facebook of some of these posts of, it doesn't matter whether it's metalwork or it's slate or it's, any of that kind of stuff, copper. It's all just, to me, it's art. That's what it's amazing to look at and really, really enjoy it. So along those lines, I understand that, obviously we've got Law and Order. It's been a great podcast for us, and we'll continue that. But my understanding is you've got something in the works, something that's going to focus on some craftsmanship. Why don't you talk to the audience about that?
We do. Very interesting. We have a partner over in England, Great Britain, roof mapping. The gentleman does this. What he does, he posts pictures of craftsman type roofs and that, and he also works in the roofing industry. So they're coming on board with us, and what we're doing is we've put this international podcast together that we'll be launching here shortly, and it is going to spotlight, the industry craftsmen from around the world. So this is going to be a chance to get like we just talked about, that professional slater, that lead person, and the metal and the zinc, and over here in the US, the ones that are here. So we're going to bring that international aspect of spotlighting the trade, and getting that out there, of showing the craftsmanship that's going on around the world, and how you'll get a chance to listen and learn how things are being done different from country to country. I think you'll find out that this is a very small, large industry, and there's certain things that unite us, even if there's a language barrier between countries, you'll find out that that roofing is that bonding agent that brings it all together. So that's what we're looking at bringing that out into the industry.
Yeah, and I can echo that. It doesn't matter where we go, who we talk to, roofing is roofing. There's a tie that binds you regardless of whether you're in the US, Canada, UK, Germany, doesn't matter where you are, right? So, along those lines, I don't want to forget about tile either. Even here I've seen, some incredible craftsmanship when it comes to using tile, especially in complicated valleys.
Wood shake as well. Throw that in there with the thatch. That's an art as well too. Which proper wood shakeage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things I think is worth mentioning is, we're constantly looking for talent to add on. We have so many different facets to our business, from legal to the operations and consulting side to safety to you name it. And, I'm really pleased to announce, the formal announcement won't go out for a little bit, but pleased to announce that we're going to be working with Kevin Yarborough. And for those of you that don't know who Kevin Yarborough is, Kevin is well known in the safety space. He has been an assistant area director for the one of the Florida OSHA offices here. He's got decades worth of experience into safety, and I've always enjoyed working with him. He's a national speaker. I believe he spoke at Best of Success several times. So really looking forward to having Kevin on. He's going to assist us with training, assist us with our OSHA defense, and also help educate. I wanted to bring him on to help teach some of our younger lawyers and younger consultants about safety and navigating the issues, understanding the talking points, that kind of stuff. So always looking to add on good talent, and Kevin is a great example of that. Really looking forward to it.
No, it's a great addition. It's going to bring a whole new aspect to our risk management analysis, and just take us to that next level and continue to put the service out there for the industry and what's needed. It's desperately needed to get that out there.
Yeah, and I think for those of you that are listening out there, keep us in mind. If you've got somebody that that fits the mold, we're always looking, we're always interested, we're always hiring, and that's something that I want to keep. I had an interesting conversation recently with some people with National Women in Roofing, and it was about why I belong to that group, why do I participate. And part of the reason is that, I believe strongly in getting access to other ideas, getting other people to bring something to the table that goes beyond sort of what your thought process is. So I think bringing on somebody like Kevin, bringing on, these other people that we brought on here recently, it really just adds to our overall mix, and really excited about it. I know John, you've added a lot of talent in consulting as well.
Yeah, we're like you said, we're always looking to add on the next person that can bring, expand on what we do to get out there to be that, that one. I don't want to use the word one stop, but really it is one stop. And so that whatever your issue is, we've got a solution to help get you through it.
So, John, we've talked about a lot of things, and as everybody knows, we always end with a question. So I want to read today's question for you. And John, I think this one is going to be directed at you. I mean, I can give my 2 cents, but this is definitely a you question. So this is from Jeremy, and Jeremy wants to know if he goes out to a residential roofing project and they have asked him to keep the existing gutters in place. Okay. Obviously, the gutters have to be removed, I would assume, to do some of the roofing work. What kind of liability and what kind of issues does he have there if they don't want to replace the gutters and they want to use the existing gutters that are on there? And I'm assuming, based on the question, we're talking about a single family residence.
Yeah, you're probably talking about a standard K gutter, and which is usually the most common that's on there. We'll make that assumption, at least from this question. So that being said, there's a couple things you can do. If it can be, spike and furled, however it's put on, if you can remove it and it is aluminum and you're not going to damage it and you can put it back without it, your liability is at a minimum. You just have to make sure you do all your joints correctly, and anything you take apart has to go back according to the newest section of code that, in the area you're working in. So for example, If it was spiked at 3 foot and code requires 18 inches, I'm just using an example because depending on where you're at, then you got to go back with new because you're still going to fall under that. What you need to think from more of a business standpoint, how much is that worth it for you to do? There may be more labor and more other things involved in parts and pieces than to just remove it and put a new gutter up to begin with. So you got to look at it from both. I think from liability side, speaking as non-attorney, you're probably, as long as it's decent and good, what I mean by decent, it's in good shape, you probably could do it. But you got to look at it from a business standpoint. Sometimes it's cheaper to remove and replace than it is to try to remove and reinstall, if that makes sense.
Yeah, from a legal perspective, anytime I see leave existing ... I always get worried, especially when you start talking about gutters or drains, pipes, any of that kind of stuff. I can't tell you how many legal issues we've had because the drainage wasn't sufficient to hold the new roof system, right? So anything that you've got like that, anytime that you're using existing, you just want to make sure that it can conform to whatever the new system is that you're putting on. Otherwise, it's exactly like what John said. But it's always better. It's always better to if you're going to own it, right? In other words, if you got to touch it and put it back anyway, I would much rather just put new stuff on and charge them for it.
Is Jeremy who asked this question, Trent?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So Jeremy, I can tell you from real experience myself, I've had clients like this. I've had them tell me not to do something. And even though it may have cost me an extra couple $100, I've actually put new up anyways, because it was actually easier. I didn't have to worry about the liability problems falling off. So that's why I said there's a lot of business decision based in this too. That really means that your owner doesn't want to pay any extra for it, but sometimes it's better if you are, if you do, you got to look at the overall cost difference. So.
Yep. Watch anything that deals with drainage. Watch out for it. That's a great way for a water intrusion claim. So, John, I'm going to end it there. And as always, I want to thank our listeners. We greatly appreciate you. We are still the #1 construction law podcast in the world, and we are because of listeners like you. So if you have any questions for us, as you know, we answer a podcast. Feel free to send them to either me or John. You can reach me at tcotney@cotneycl.com. John, how can they reach you?
jkenny at cotneycl.com. I almost gave you your email twice. So
yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, and we will see you next week.
All right. Take care now.